Chance, goal, brilliant. Just fantastic by Nicola Barella. And he does it, and Italy are champions of Europe. Forza Italia.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast where you get your Calcio to go. I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing on this Sunday night after a Derby day-filled weekend of football? Huh? What a weekend!
Derbies everywhere you look. We had, I believe, we have a Ligurian derby. We had the Derby della Sud, Derby d'Italia, which obviously are the more highlighted.
Yeah.
So a fascinating weekend of football in Serie A. Certainly enjoyed what I saw. I'm sure. Well, Uncle Sharma doesn't appear to have enjoyed what he saw. I feel your pain. I feel your pain there, Uncle Sharma. But
yeah,
we'll get into that. There was an interesting talking point there at the end of the Derby d'Italia, and as you would imagine, Calcio Twitter. Actually, I don't think they're divided on that. We will talk about it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Maybe.
I think we'll get into it, but I think that just kind of jumping into it, I feel like, going through the Twitter feed, I think everybody's kind of skewing towards correct call versus look at the referees, they're at it again. So and I am in that camp. So but I know we'll have a chance to talk about that.
And speaking of letting the referees back at it again, lots of managers behaving badly this weekend. Several red cards by the managers. My goodness.
I mean, okay, so Gasperini, Mourinho, Inzaghi, and Spalletti. Spalletti was sent off after the match, though. Good morning from a delirious Monday morning in Southwest Sydney. I mean, we are all over the world, and look at that. Priv Inter. Checking in with us from down under. Good to have you with us. Good to have everybody. Anthony LaFleur, Uncle Sharma, see you guys in the chat. Back in our usual Sunday night spot. So, and glad to have you on board. Hopefully everybody's digesting their heavy Sunday dinners and getting ready to digest a little bit of a Calcio breakdown with Richard and myself.
Yeah. So
we have these derbies to go over. We have the rest of the match week 9 to go over. Almost lost track. I mean, Serie A has been so exciting so far. I lose track of how many match weeks we've actually played. It's actually hard to believe there's only been 9.
9. It's crazy. I could have swore we're at 15 or in the teens already, and we're not even 10. Right? So,
yep.
Yeah.
And I think that if there's something, and it's very rare for us to credit Serie A for anything, but I think their scheduling, I think, has something to do with this, getting some really key games early on in the season. But I think it's also a credit to the talent in Serie A and the talent of the teams. I think the teams are getting better. I think you're getting many more compelling games than we're used to getting. And I think that that's making for an exciting atmosphere, as Anthony seems to be excited about here in the chat. Yeah, it's been great. We're 9 games in. What do we say? 10 to 12 games in. We kind of have a pretty good feel for who everybody is and what they're going to be. But why don't we start with the big derby that took place at the San Siro?
Yeah, and of course we're talking Derby d'Italia, Inter hosting Juventus. Always going to be a big occasion, right? You're going to have Simone Inzaghi on one side, Massimiliano Allegri on the other. Let's look at the lineups first for the hosts. Handanovic in goal once again. A back three of Skriniar, Divrai, Bastoni. No surprise there. Midfield of Darmian, Barella, Brozovic, Çalhanoğlu, and Perisic. And up top you had Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez. Thoughts on Inter's lineup heading into this one?
No real surprises. I mean, I think for me it's Darmian right now at the right wing back position until Dumfries gets up to speed with some of his individual defending. And I think in a game like this, you want somebody with the experience and has been in these situations before. Darmian clearly has more so than Dumfries. Perisic has turned into a very, very effective player as a left wing back. I mean, let's face it. I mean, he's always going forward and he's always going to be a winger that just happens to be a wing back. He's not necessarily there for his defending. He's there to put pressure on the other side. He's there to keep people honest. I liked some of the things that he did in this game. And, your midfield three, I thought was pretty straightforward as well with Çalhanoğlu in there, doing the playmaking out of that midfield three to the forwards who have really been the standard for Inter starting up front, Dzeko and Lautaro.
Yeah, and I really have no problem with this lineup at all. I mean, Dzeko's even said this post-match. He said, this is the most attacking team I've played on, aside from that City team that, when he was with Mancini. So this is a very attacking team, a lot of talent on this team, both on the starting 11 and on the bench. I know that one of the players was sick, I believe, and I can't remember who it was. Might have been DiMarco, maybe not why he didn't get the start. But yeah, I mean, outside of this top 11, I mean, really, Handanovic is always the question mark, because I know how Interisti feel about him. He's obviously an Inter legend, but his best days are behind him, right? But who do you have to bring, to switch out? No one really. So you're kind of stuck with him. But other than that, I think it's a fine starting 11 for me. Moving on to the visitors. In goal, you had obviously Wojciech Szczesny, went with Danilo, Bonucci, Chiellini, and Alexandro in defense. In the midfield, you had Juan Cuadrado, Weston McKennie getting into the lineup, Manuel Locatelli. Bernardeschi would get a brief cameo in this one with Kulusevski and Morata. Thoughts on the starting 11 for Juventus?
Weird. Very weird. I kind of understand what Allegri's going for here shape-wise. It probably to absorb, probably to deal with Inter. And then you have, the two men up front. Morata's kind of your reference point. He's in the higher positions, gets the ball, and then you can have Kulusevski running off of him, and getting in those positions. I would have much preferred Chiesa in that role over Kulusevski, I'm sure, as would many Juve fans. And then when you're in possession, it's Bernardeschi and Cuadrado pumping in crosses, looking for Morata. I understand some of the facets of what Allegri was trying to do here. I just don't think it came together well. And there were, or at least on paper going in, I was surprised. Dybala's out of the lineup, Chiesa's out of the lineup. They're on the substitutes bench. For me, a very, very strange selection for Allegri.
Yeah, really, I think the three missing pieces that I think most people would expect in a certain lineup is Chiesa, Dybala, and De Ligt, right? But it's an interesting lineup. Obviously, not having Bentancur in a certain lineup was interesting, and McKennie was in. So you saw that Allegri really didn't want to do anything too crazy. Really want to, like you mentioned, hold up the attack from Inter, really trying to absorb some of that and try to stay in the game as long as possible. Where Allegri's looking to win 1-0. That's all he cares about. He doesn't really want to be exploited, giving goal. If he goes into goal fest, he's not going to win that. Not with this team. Yeah. And so he's always going to try to keep it tight.
But I didn't mind Bonucci and Chiellini. For the same reasons, of the Roma game last week. Okay, Inter are pretty aggressive going forward. Hundreds and hundreds of games Bonucci and Chiellini have played together. You go with the two guys that understand each other, that have the know-how, and right now is what Allegri prefers over De Ligt. And it's right now, the way it looks in these big games, Allegri is going to run old man Chiellini into the ground, until he can't take it anymore. In this game again, I thought that he had a better game today than he did last week against Roma. But I still think there are moments where Chiellini is showing his age. I mean, you're a 37-year-old defender. At some point, early positioning is going to be good, but at some point there's going to be moments where you're going to get exposed.
Yeah. And we saw that last week against Roma, right? With Tammy Abraham really kind of going through him on the one play. Yeah, so this game, we imagine is always going to be tight. But, what you rarely see, it seems like, is an early goal. And we kind of had this in this one. 17th minute, a player that's a very polarizing player lately, especially for Milanisti and Interisti, and that's Hakan Çalhanoğlu, a guy who hasn't done much this season so far, had some glimpses, especially early on, had a rocket of a shot that hit off the post, beats the goalkeeper. If it was going in, it would have been a goal, but hits off the post, bounces out. Dzeko, right place, right time, knocks it past the goalkeeper. A fantastic way to start for if you're Inter. And really, it's putting all the chips on the table right there and making Juventus come out of their shell, which is a great way to start if you're Inter. What are your thoughts?
I think Calhanoglu's shot took a deflection, which kind of helped. I actually saw Lisi tweet out that nobody's going to point out that that deflection had happened. Calhanoglu's shot was going into Rosette, so maybe you never can tell. But they checked for offside on Dzeko, which at first glance I thought he was, but when you look at it again, it's extremely tight, and you got to err to the side of okay, that's a goal. Which I thought that was fine. Opportunistic finish for Dzeko, one of those that just falls for him, and as a finisher, those are the ones you've got to take care of, especially in a game like this. And yeah, Calhanoglu just trying his luck from distance, and that's why you take those long range shots. It might deflect wrong. It might wrong foot the goalkeeper, and and in this case, it deflected, hit the post, came back to Dzeko. So, a lot going on there. It just was strange to watch Juventus be so slow to react to a second ball or start recycling things defensively too. But maybe they just couldn't in time. Things happen so fast. But Dzeko gets the goal, and Inter goes in front. And would you say that was a deserved lead? I would say just barely. I thought that things were equal. I know that Juventus early on had some chances that, the ball Handanovic had an issue with, and nearly allowed the ball to creep over the line, but was able to hang on to it. And I don't know. My feelings at that point was that okay, probably deserved to be ahead. But you could also make a case that balanced game, and this is the odd goal that sets one team apart from the other as well.
Yeah, and I think just before this goal, Inter started inserting their dominance or their advantage into play. I think it was certainly an even game overall, and even the first half. But I thought Inter had the better of the play in the first half. They were the better of the two teams, and that goal was a great way to kind of start that, and it kind of kept on going through the rest of the half. Right around the goal, there was an injury for Juventus. You never want to see an injury early in the game. Bernardeschi, guy who got the start, maybe surprised some, maybe not the others, but injured nonetheless. He comes off. Bentancur comes on. I didn't see exactly the extent of how serious that injury may have been, but whenever a player leaves early, it's never a good sign. What do you know about the injury, if anything?
Nothing. I know that he wanted to try to stay on to see if he could sort it out. But it was kind of funny, and I saw Digby tweeting about it and saying, okay, they have Dybala ready. Bernardeschi says, wait, I want to see if I can play this out. Decides he can't play it out. And then Juventus puts in Bentancur instead. So, I think that was just an extension of the madness with Allegri with this lineup. And I don't know what he was trying to accomplish here, but it was certainly interesting. I'm going to try to see what I can pull up here on Bernardeschi. I doubt we're going to hear anything until tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was unfortunate. A guy that is, it's just not worked out with the Bianconeri, and he's been in our crap on a cracker team a couple of times. I mean, that's how disappointing he has been.
Yeah. He's been coming on lately, though. At least,
yeah.
I think having Allegri back certainly helps him. He's much more relevant under Allegri than he is with anybody else. But the injury, nonetheless, is going to suck for him. It sucks for Juventus. It did suck for Juventus because really, normally Allegri makes a switch like that, and he usually gets it right. But I think this is one of the few cases that he got that one wrong because Bentancur was pretty non-existent most of the game till at least very late. Let me know if you find anything on the injury, but. The game, as we mentioned, was in Inter's favor for the first half. They played very well. Most of the better play was on Szczesny's goal. We started seeing at the end of the first half things starting to get chippy. Barella got a yellow. I forget who for Juventus got a yellow as well. It's Alexandro. So we go into halftime, 1-0 scoreline. I think for the two teams, if you're Inter, this is where you want to be. You got the lead. Juventus has to come out of the shell to try to score a goal to get at least a draw out of this one. And with that happening, it hopefully leaves the back opens for they can hit them on the counterattack and probably get another goal out there. If you're Juventus, not the ideal start. It's not. And then Bernardeschi's out for Bentancur, who's been non-existent for his time that he's been in there. It's not an easy one, but you're still only 1-0 down. Anything can happen in these games, and all you need is a set piece or a fluke play here or there, and you're back in the game. So I don't think Allegri is too bothered by this, but if anyone's going to have the advantage, it's clearly going to be Inter, and obviously with a 1-0 lead, you think that, but that's going to be advantageous to get Allegri and his team out of their shell, being up 1-0 at halftime for Inter.
Do you think Inter almost felt to me that as this game was going on, that Inter was trying to take a page out of Allegri Juve's book, in which you're just, 1-0 up, trying to manage it. And I think that I'm just kind of flipping through some post-game commentary. Simone Inzaghi saying after the game, Pippo Inzaghi was probably the better player, and Simone Inzaghi was probably the better manager. It's so okay. I got to just make sure I write that on my hand next time. Simone Inzaghi, I think he even said something after the game, is that the only way Juventus were scoring on us was if they got a penalty. And I think he's right. Because, do you see anything here that Juve did that there was a shot at Handanovic that he had trouble with, but he had a defender there to clear it away. But after that, I didn't really see anything where Handanovic was troubled. I think Handanovic looks bad because of the couple of opportunities that were at him, he didn't handle particularly well. Right. And he could have been the very reason why Inter could have lost this game. But I think the outfield players in front of him were very good, for Inter, and, did everything they could to just find a way to just get out of there with 3 points against Juventus. It felt strange to me. It felt like Inter were trying to be resourceful Inter and trying to be like Allegri's Juve, where we have seen Inzaghi's Inter this season, when they score, they're looking for a second one and a third, and they've done that to a number of teams this season. Are they guilty? Are they guilty of giving Juve too much respect?
Probably, and really, to echo what Inzaghi said, honestly, that first 65 minutes, there was really nothing that Juventus provided to really scare Inter. Obviously, with the lineup that they put out there, it was more pragmatic. And the way Inter came out there, maybe still thinking in the back of their mind what happened against Lazio. Maybe there's different factors here and there, but they know that, at least Inzaghi feels that Juve really is not going to be able to beat them with all this power. And I guess they just want to draw the game out as best they can, and really to make it as boring as possible, non-entertaining, so that they can just win the game. And they got their goal already, and what more do they need? They know Juventus is not going to score a goal unless it's something like you mentioned, a penalty or something fluky. So I guess they're more than content to not give up anything too much defensively and just let the play, see its way out there. And I mentioned the 65th minute because that's when Chiesa and Dybala came on. I thought this looked like a different Juventus team once these two players came on. It was a big change in the way the style of play was. The play started tilting towards Juventus, and it started seeing almost the opposite script of the first half in the second half, where Juve were constantly coming in waves, where in the first half we saw that from Inter.
I thought they put Inter under a lot more pressure for sure. They tried to raise the tempo of the game a little bit. They tried getting at Inter a little bit, trying to get at them, trying to get behind them, things like that, trying to get some great chances. But I think that still Inter diffused that pretty well. At some point you got to say, all right, fine. They're going to be in our third of the pitch a lot here with the way they're trying to come at us and with the way they're trying to attack and that sort of thing. If we can just keep it all in front of us, not allow anything easy to happen, then we're going to be fine. We're going to get out of this okay. And I think that that's what Inter did. Conversely, I like the substitutions. I like how Allegri went to it and changed the shape and brought on Dybala and Chiesa to put that kind of pressure on Inter, where I think that I think Inzaghi's Inter deserves some credit here because they went to a system that I don't think they're comfortable with, but maybe had to do it because of the strength of Dybala and Chiesa. And they kept things organized. They didn't give up anything easy. And, we're minutes away from getting out of this with 3 points and showing the rest of us who follow Serie A that there's more than one way this Inter can win.
Yeah, because up to this point, it was all goals and beautiful plays, really playing really wonderful football, really. And now they're showing you, hey, we have another side to us. We can play gritty, tight games, defensive games, and not let up anything. That's what we were seeing for 89 minutes of this game. And finally, wave after wave, it finally started getting closer to the box. And then we knew a controversy was going to happen at some point, right, at this game, right? And it did. 89th minute, Juventus coming into the box. A shot goes off. Dumfries hits his player. It might have been Bünte. I forget who the player was. They go to VAR. They're trying to check and see if it's a foul and if it's in the box.
It was Alexandro,
yes. And so they go to VAR and penalty was called. Now, so before we get to the goal, thoughts on it, because I know a lot of people are talking about this play here, whether there was a penalty, whether it was not, whether it was in the box, whether it was not. What are your thoughts?
Good call. The location of the infraction is just inside the box. Okay. The actual impact of the infraction is just inside the penalty area. And I think Lisi can back us up on this. And I mean, that's why there's VAR. It's not, VAR didn't screw anybody here. And when you go back and you look at it and you saw what the referee did, he asked the guy, freeze it. You can kind of see it and sees the contact, sees it happening just inside the penalty area. And he says, okay, I've got it. This is a penalty. And then goes ahead and he makes the call. So to the letter of the law and in its strictest interpretation, that's a penalty. And they got it right.
From what I know of the penalty area and the foul that was called, the line is part of the box. It was on the line, therefore in the box.
Yep.
It's a harsh call. Anytime you have a late penalty like this, anytime it's for Juventus, if you're not a Juventus fan, you're thinking, here we go again. But I don't really see the controversy. Yes, controversial that it happened late in the game, but I think it was a good call. I do. Yeah. It was very tight, super tight. But it was a foul. I mean, Dumfries just got him, and there were some iffy calls last week in some of the games, but I thought this one was not super clear. But obviously, when you look at the replay, when VAR got involved, you saw it was on the line, and I'm okay with this call. It sucks if you're an Inter fan because you had this whole game, you pretty much were in full control, and then that happens, and then the game ends 1-1. Dybala scores on the penalty there. Tough if you're an Inter EC fan, as Uncle Sharma said, pain, right? And if you're a Juventus fan, you're thinking relief because you're getting really outplayed for 65 minutes and then started slowly getting to the game, got that play to get you that draw. Yeah. I'm sure Juventini are thinking this is a justified draw, and Inter fans think they got screwed. So, yeah, it's a tough result, but it's a derby game and what you expect. Controversy, tight game, and no one being happy.
Yep. I agree. I don't know. I don't know if my opinion really changes about either of these teams. I still like Inter as a top 4 team. I just don't know if Juventus have enough in their locker right now to be a top 4 team. I think, and where I think the finishing product leaves a lot to be desired, I don't think Allegri can go through a whole season being resourceful, and winning games 1-0. They're going to have to eventually establish some aggression in some games, and they're going to eventually have to attack. I don't know if they can. Yeah, they did it against Roma. They had to chase it against Inter, and I thought, we've been talking about it. Allegri made some really nice adjustments. And maybe that was the plan all the way. He also said in his presser that he found Kuliszewski to be somebody that might be more physical, that could address some of the physicality that was going to be going on. I don't know if maybe he just doesn't think, and that's a fair point about Chiesa. I mean, for everything that he does, for his pace, his ability to run off the ball, his ability to establish space when he makes his runs and things like that. When he gets into tighter situations, is Chiesa a guy that we really think can deal with being stuck in? That's a good question.
Alexis Sanchez, who's
What's
much
that?
smaller. I said, only if it's against Alexis Sanchez,
Sure.
who's much smaller than him.
Sure. So I see the point. Oh
yeah.
Let Kulusevski play, let him absorb some of that physicality, and as the Inter defenders get a little leggy, then you run Chiesa at them.
Let me
on the surface
go ahead.
I think on the surface you want to, if you think that, this is the guy that has been your informed player for club and for country, over the last several weeks and maybe even months, that's the guy you want out there. So, and I can understand that sentiment from Juventus' standpoint, but as we've been talking about this, and then Allegri's comment about Kulusevski maybe being more of the physical type of attacker that can absorb some of the punishment. Morata's also built that way.
Oh yeah.
That's what they wanted to start with, to put up with that, and that, keep the game close, break Inter down a little bit, and then you can have Dybala with his moves and with his technique. You can have Chiesa with his running. Start to stretch this Inter defense and unbalance them. So worked out well, in theory, great idea, I should say. But I thought Inter managed it well, because in the end, were there any big time chances that were created out of these tactical adjustments that Allegri made? No. So, and it came down to the penalty. So,
yeah, and I want to clear something up too, because I know you and team will come screaming at us and say, "Hey, we've been resourceful in the past and we've won." But I think what you're talking about is that being resourceful with this group of players. It's one thing being resourceful with a talent on the bench and on the starting 11. This is not what Juventus have. They have a handful of really good players, and then not so much for the other players, right? Midfield is other than Locatelli, you're like, So that's what we're talking about, being resourceful with this kind of team. I agree. I didn't have them in my top 4 in my predictions before the season, and that hasn't changed whatsoever. And I still think Inter are a top 4 team. Where they land in that top 4 is a different story. But switching over to Inter, I think I thought Inzaghi managed this well. It was a different style of play than we're normally used to seeing Inter, but it worked. And if it wasn't for that call at the end of the game, they would have won this game and said, "Look, we can win this. We can win it any way we want to play." Right?
Yeah.
So Inter shouldn't hang their heads on this. Yes, it sucks, but what they showed is they can play a different style and it can still get the job done. They probably don't want to do this every weekend, right? Just maybe the big games, but it can be done, and they know that they should hold their head up high, saying, "Look, we can play the style when we need to. We play the big teams, whether it's in Europe or in the league." So. It's a strong performance. Nice to play Inzaghi. I know they had a little bit chip on the shoulder after last week too. We saw Inzaghi pre-match saying, "Hey, from now on, we're going to keep playing the ball. We don't care if anyone's injured, right?" Because after what happened last week, so Inter be fine. I think they're built to run for the long season. Where they end up in that top 4 is to be determined, but I don't think this will phase them. This will only motivate them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think if Inter can take any, and if Interisti that listen to us can take any encouragement from this game, it's simply that there's some tactical flexibility, or they found some tactical flexibility here. They can grind when they need to. So, which is probably something I'm not so sure we were willing to say about them. So, just overall as a game, it was meh. I mean, it was not a spectacle. It was, again, the Calcio nerd in me enjoyed watching the chess match that Inzaghi and Allegri were playing against each other.
Expecting a derby, right?
Right. But, it wasn't one that it didn't turn out to be appointment television. Leave it at that. So, moving on to the other derby of importance that took place today, the Derby della Sud between Roma and Napoli, Richard. Roma with Rui Patricio in goal, back 4 of Karsdorp, Mancini, Ibanez, and Vigna. Cristante and Veretout to protect that back 4. Pellegrini in an advanced role, flanked by Zaniolo and Mkhitaryan. Good to see that Zaniolo got back out there. And then Tammy Abraham in attack. This looks like a Mourinho team that says, all right, Napoli's going to come forward. They're going to come at us, and we're going to, just like the Juve game, only it actually happened in this game. We're going to try to break on them with that, what would ultimately be that front three with Mkhitaryan, Zaniolo, and Abraham.
Yeah, and it's so good to see Zaniolo back out there. We had all of us, I think, in the Calcio community were a little worried to see if maybe Zaniolo goes down with another serious injury. Luckily, it wasn't. So he's back, so that's good. But this lineup, pretty straight up lineup. Lineup I think was pretty damn near their best 11, and it's a lineup you knew that weren't going to give up much, and we're going to try to play on the counter. They have some speedsters on that team, including 97-year-old Mkhitaryan. They can still, they can still counter well, but. Yeah, it was interesting that Mourinho, you knew exactly what Mourinho was going to do when this lineup came out, and I think it was pretty effective considering what Mourinho wanted or didn't want to happen against him. So,
yeah, Mkhitaryan's only 32.
For football, he's old.
Don't. Yeah,
he looks older to me.
Don't assassinate his age just yet. He's not in that Goran Pandev range.
That's true. That is true.
Moving on, Napoli, Ospina back forward, Di Lorenzo Rachmani, Koulibaly and Mario Rui, Andre Zambo and Gesa, and Fabian Ruiz in a double pivot. Zielinski pushing forward with Matteo Politano starting on the right, Insigne to the left, Osimhen up front. No real surprises here.
No surprise there, and we knew exactly with both these lineups come out what kind of play was going to happen. And whenever you see Napoli play, 95% of the time they're going to dominate possession against whoever they play against. And Roma, with Mourinho in big games, his tendency is to drop back and let the play come at him and play on the counter. So it was lined up to see exactly how we wanted the lineup for Napoli straight up. No surprises, I think, really for either team in this one.
How much? Okay, so there's not much to talk about with this game. Aside from that, I mean, except for both managers getting a red card. Mourinho getting his in the second half, and then Spalletti getting his after the game.
Yeah.
You had to anticipate Mourinho. I mean, and I think a lot. Not only the respect for Napoli, but after getting boat raced by Bodo Glimt in the UEFA Conference League, that I think this needed to be okay, we're using this game to get right, to not give up anything, to get this part of what we're doing better, and then can we go the other way and find a way to get one. Now, I think that it's a combination of both of those things. I think it's much more so to do with Napoli, but you in the back of your mind as a manager, coming off of getting beaten 6-1 by anybody, you want to address your team's defending, your team's shape, and not to concede so many easy chances.
Yeah, because many people are going to start questioning Mourinho if they give up another 3-4 goals in this game, right after the 6-1 drubbing. And I think Mourinho's game plan was very effective, especially in the first half. Probably one of the best chances of the game was Tammy Abraham in the 27th minute. And I'm getting a clear-cut pass in front of Rachmani, took a shot just wide. Yep. Rachmani is playing with fire and could have gotten called, depending on referee on a penalty there. But Abraham should have done better with that shot. I know it's difficult with the circumstances that were there, but I mean that was probably the best opportunity in the game overall. And to start the game, really that was a great way for Roma to start because they were playing on the counter, doing exactly what they wanted to do, make it difficult. I mean, I think maybe in that first half, the only real play you saw was Insigne towards the end near halftime. Had a curler that just went over the bar. But other than that, it was Roma doing what they wanted to do, not giving up much and taking their chances when they had. And like I said, Tammy Abraham with the best chance of the game in that first half.
What else did you see from this? I think this was a game that I think that as the game went on, Roma bunkered more.
And I think there was something said at halftime by Spalletti because it seemed like Napoli had another gear. And yes, they didn't score any goals, but they started getting more and more opportunities. There was an exquisite play opportunity where I think it was Fabian to Politano to Osimhen that hit off the post, and then Mario Rui had a chance and it went over the bar. but that was a great play set up. That they finally found a way to breach that defense there. And they had their opportunities. I know Osimhen had a looping header off a corner kick. There were some plays here and there. Neither team were clinical, as Anthony says in the chat. Roma had their opportunities as well, though. It wasn't like all Napoli in the second half. Pellegrini had a free kick. Mancini almost scored on it. We really should have, honestly. And then Karsdorp dropped a dime for, oh my gosh, who was it? Pellegrini. It was a volley attempt over Koulibaly's head, and he misses that. So, there were some opportunities, but it really wasn't. Mourinho wasn't going to give up much defensively. You knew that. And Roma wasn't going to put enough pressure on Napoli to create anything. So really it was just going to be a stalemate through and through. And what you saw was frustration started to grow in. And then that last 10 minutes, it got super feisty. And you started seeing Mourinho get red cards. Spalletti got the red card after the game. Players are trying to go at each other. That's going to happen when a game of Derby della Sud, Derby della Sole, whatever you want to call it. Frustration starts to mount when nothing's going your way and you're playing this park the bus mentality. Both teams are going to get frustrated. You can't get a goal.
Roma, I mean, we talk about this stigma with the Seven Sisters. This is a point. I mean, Roma fans are probably
against a first place team.
Yeah. They'll take the point, but do you see Roma fan potentially getting grouchy about these tactics as time goes on here? It's like, look, I mean, can we find other ways to win? I mean, we talk about how Inter can be expansive and score goals and stuff like that, but then, today tried to show that they can grind a result, and came really close.
Yeah.
Roma, I think more often than not under Mourinho are going to try to grind results. I don't think they're going to be pretty. When they're going to be pretty is when they're going to have the space to counter with those three guys, with Zaniolo, Abraham, and Mkhitaryan. So is it one of those where you just take relief that, hey, we got a point off of one of the Seven Sisters. We got a point off of the team that was in first. But at the same time, as a Roma fan, should you be looking for more here? Or do you just say, hey, this is part of the growth. This is part of getting more of a spine under Jose Mourinho. What are you seeing with Roma?
I think because of the result against Bodo Glimt, this was a result they're more than happy with. They didn't give him any goals. It was a competitive game against a top team in Serie A. I think this is a good result. Now, if this tactic continues throughout the rest of the season, they're going to get frustrated. But I think in this type of game, in a situation after coming where many question marks were had after the Bodo Glimt game, let's be honest. Another poor performance, and every person would have been questioned on that team, including Mourinho. And they found a way to get a result against a team that's very dangerous offensively, with talent up and down the pitch from front to back. So, I think this is a good result. Now, let's see how they play against a Bologna or some of these other teams are not as good as Napoli. If they continue with these tactics, I see frustration growing from the Roma fans. But I think for now, they're happy with what the result was. Not happy, content. I mean, you get a point against one of the Seven Sisters against the top team in Serie A. It's a good result, especially after a 6-1.
Can you pick a man of the match from this game? Games like this, it's really hard.
It's tough. It's not Mourinho, I'll tell you that. I like what Ruiz was doing in some of the passes. Victor Osimhen had some opportunities as well, but I don't know, man. It's tough. I mean, Karsdorp, I thought it was decent. Had a great pass to Pellegrini. Pellegrini was in the mix as well. I don't know. It's tough, man. It's tough in this kind of game.
Okay.
How about you? You got a man of the match for this?
I mean, I like those shouts. I mean, it's hard to say. If you can make a case, I'm gonna say co-man of the match. I'll just give it to Mancini and Ibanez back there. For keeping things in front of them, keeping things under control. I think they were both outstanding and kind of being the center back pairing that just kind of gets things going and kind of help keep things connected. I think that's where I would go for. I'd probably split it between those two. So,
I want to argue
on the Napoli side, I like what you're saying about Fabian Ruiz. I think Andre Zambo Anguissa once again turned in another great performance. The guy's been a find. for this Napoli midfield since joining. So I think you could make a case for any of those guys, but it's not like, they were man of the match in a game that you had to all of a sudden just that you were at the edge of your seat for the entire 90 minutes.
No,
so,
exactly. So,
but
two
all
stuff.
right, so that was like we had a rebound goal, a penalty, and then no goals. I mean, there were goals this weekend, Richard, weren't there?
Yeah. Let's get into some of those goals, right? Because the derbies were always going to be tight and low scoring. So let's get to some of the goals in this one. Starting off on Friday, you had Torino hosting Genoa. Goal scoring started in the 14th minute, a header through Tony Sanabria. Torino would double their lead in the 31st minute. Paul Bega with a nice goal of the week candidate there. Frank's boy Destro would cut it to 2-1 in the 70th minute, make it 2-1, like I said. That lead would last very short, the 1-goal lead, I should say, because they made it 3-1. Brecalo in the 77th minute, 3-1. Looks like they're going to walk away winners. 81st minute, Felipe Caicedo made it 3-2. That's how it finished, and now it's my time to say that Caicedo greater than Immobile. Torino gets the win in that one. Sampdoria on Friday hosting Spezia. Goal scoring started in the 15th minute. Giassi with an own goal made it 1-0 there. Candreva would double the lead for Sampdoria in the 36th, 2-0. Looked like we're going to keep that scoreline there, even though Spezia kept coming more and more. But Verdi, goal of the week candidate in the 95th minute, 5th minute of stoppage time, 2-1. Sampdoria walk away. They should have walked away bigger win, but they got the win nonetheless.
But they literally had no desire to have the ball in the second half.
I know.
They went up 2-0 at halftime, and they're like, we're good.
We're done.
Here, you have the ball.
Yeah. Too many opportunities for Spezia. Unreal. And this is where you scratch your head with Diversa, because it's a game like this. You should keep going at them, pounding in the goals, and no, you're going to take your chances, and you barely get away with 1-goal win. So,
and I think that it's because Sampdoria have been so painfully awful defensively over the last several weeks under Diversa that it was just like, okay, we're really going to let them have the ball. Okay, we're going to just
let's test our defense out.
Yeah, they could have just set all 11 of their guys in the penalty area. I mean, it was just it was bizarre for a team of Sampdoria's quality. And yeah, I get Spezia plays a very attractive game. They love having the ball. They like to create. Spezia's not a counterattacking side. They want to have possession. And with a 2-0 lead, fine. You want to respect that. Keep them out. I thought that was very, very early to go to those tactics. But
I agree.
That's me. So.
Speaking of questionable tactics, Salernitana hosting Empoli. Goal scoring started in the 2nd minute. Pinamonte, wonderful finish, made it 1-0 there. Patrick Cutrone in the 11th minute, double that lead, 2-0. And just 2 minutes after that, looked like a goal of the week candidate, but upon review, Strandberg with an own goal. It wasn't a backheel flick by Cutrone. Nonetheless, 3-0, 13 minutes into the game. Shock start there, and then add insult to injury. 45th minute, Pinamonte gets a penalty, a nice Paneka goal. He must have said something to the goalie, because the goalie went after him right after the goal. I don't know exactly what he said, probably something about his mother or something. But 4-0.
Is that what happened? Or was the goalie just mad that he shot at Panenka?
I thought it was maybe the Panenka at first. When you watch the replay from behind Pinamonte, it looked like he made some kind of gesture towards the goalie after the goal.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. We'll have to see the other angles and maybe hear somebody else's take. But it looked like to me Pinamonte may have did or said something to the goalkeeper to really piss him off. But nonetheless, 4-0 at halftime. Ranieri would get a goal in the 48th to make it 4-1, and then Ismaili would get a goal, an own goal really, in the 55th. But 4-2, Empoli walk away easy winners in this one. Moving on to Saturday, Sassuolo hosting Venezia. Goal scoring started early. Goal of the week candidate Okereke, wonderful curler from the left side of the box, made a 1-0. Would we have a shock? Not so much. 37th, Berardi with a goal, 1-1. In the second half, an own goal by Henri. In the 50th, make it 2-1. And then to add insult to injury, Fratesi with a nice goal in the 67th. Sassuolo walkaway winners 3-1. And wrapping up my slate, Bologna hosting Milan. This is an interesting game. Goal scoring started early in the 16th minute. Leao with a goal deflected, went past the keeper, 1-0 there. 35th minute, Calabria with a nice goal, made it 2-0 going into halftime. Coming out of the break, old man Ibrahimovic with an own goal made it 2-1 at that point. Excuse me. And then minutes later, goal of the week candidate, it was Arnautovic to Soriano to Musa Barrow, gets it past Tatarasano, 2-2 all of a sudden, when it looked like Milan was going to walk away with this. But Benacer, one of the goal of the week candidates in the 84th, a wonderful volley, really, make it 3-2. And then to wrap things up, Ibrahimovic gets his brace, sort of, his second goal of the game, first for Milan. 4-2 Milan walk-away winners in this one on the road. So yeah, thoughts on that batch?
Bologna had the red cards that caused them some trouble. What do we always say? 2-0 is two goal leads the most dangerous score line, and you're at halftime. And one of the things that when I coach my teams, it's you've got to lead like that at halftime or that sort of thing. You're at that fine line where you're looking for a third to kill the game off, but you can make enough mistakes to let them back in it. And Pioli's a very good manager, and I'm sure he said it. And you said, you know what? Be ready for their best shot. They're coming right out here. First 5-10 minutes of this second half is important. Can take this if we can take the game away from them somehow, whether it's by scoring another goal or keeping them out. We might be able to kill their will a little bit here and go on and win this game, especially when they were a man up at the time. There's a Bologna gets the 2 quick goals, but then they get the straight red on the challenge.
Soriano.
Yeah, that was Soriano.
So I think the first red, Sumaro, you had to give a red. It was the last man and he stopped it, and you had to give a red. The second one, though, I thought it was pretty harsh. Yes, it was a foul on Ballatore, but I don't see it as a red.
Yeah, but I mean, he is flying in studs high.
Fair enough.
And by the letter of the law, they're supposed to send you off for that. So, Bologna
deserve credit because they did not give up. I mean, they made it 2-2 man down. They kept coming at them when it was 2-2, and up until Benacer scored. They had some chances. Arnautovic came close. They would not give up, even though down 2 men.
What's your concern level about Tatarasanu now? This is 3 games.
He's not Mike Mignon.
What's that? Well, he's not Mignon, but on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 very concerned, 10 being 10 most concerned. What's your concern level with this Milan team with Tatarasanu in goal?
I'm concerned. Games like Bologna, I think it's not that bad. But when you go against the big teams where you need big saves, I don't think he's the man. Musa Barrow goal was a goal no matter how you cut it. Anybody in there, he would have scored, I think. But Tatarasanu is a questionable player back there, and you don't know what he's going to do either distribution wise, stopping wise, or anything, right? And so I think if 10 is being the most panic, if I was I am a Milanisti, I would say I'm probably on a 7 or 8. I think he can do the job against the lower middle range teams, but the big games, he's going to cost them some games, and hopefully that doesn't come to the fruition because they got a good defense in front. But I'm not liking what I've seen through the first 3 games. I'm curious what your thoughts are so far.
I'm close to a 7, and I think it has to do with players like Chiar and Tomori who need to assume a higher burden to make sure that he's not troubled too much. And I think that that's not hard for them to assume. But then it comes down to goalkeeper judgment. And then you clearly trust Maignan in that more than you trust Tatarasanu. And I think that's where the level of concern gets raised if you're a Milan supporter. Now, I said it, been saying it for the last several days. Hurry up and get Mirante up to speed, because he knows how to stop shots. He knows how to play goalkeeper in this league.
He's a decent keeper.
Yep. So, and I think at some point you're going to have to turn this over to Mirante and give him the start and goal and see what you got with him. We saw him with a worse Roma defense in front of him get clean sheets. So, it's very possible. So we'll see. I think that, looking at Salernitana, man, they can't defend. I mean,
yeah.
Empoli just put on a clinic on just the first 2 goals, just timing, change of speed, diagonal runs, both Cutrone and Pinamonti, and just cutting in front of the defender. And, the timing of the pass coming in, was interesting to watch, and it's just like Salernitana is just so flat-footed. Anthony, in my opinion, I would split starts with Tatrasano and Mirante, eventually go to Mirante until Milan. He's at a 7 as well. I'd say eventually just totally turn this over to Mirante and turn it over to a guy who's got experience playing in this league. But anyway, coming back now to Salernitana, they can't defend, and they're going to be behind so many games. I mean, it's just I had them for 20th from the get go. I said I didn't like this team.
Yeah.
I know that there was some sentiment about maybe they could be all right, and it just hasn't gone well.
For 90 minutes. They need to park the bus for 90 minutes.
But I don't think they can. I don't think they can do that. I don't think they have players with the mentality to do that. They want to go forward. They want to use their wing backs. They're trying to figure out how to make it work where Ribery can be the playmaker. And feed these forwards that they've got, and they're putting themselves so far behind. Because I'll tell you what, Belic in goal, Aya, Strandberg, and Jaroszynski are not guys that I'm worried about.
Yeah,
keeping me out of a goal. So, it's just what I've been seeing from there. And this is what you see when Empoli is given license to attack, and when they can finish their chances under Andrea Azzurri, they can be very, very good. Empoli's in 9th. In case you were wondering. I still think they're going to get to a point where they're going to run into their issues defensively, and they're going to start falling back and fighting off relegation. I think some of this is also that Empoli has kind of gotten to a little bit of a squishy part of their schedule. They did get blasted by Atalanta and Roma, but they beat Bologna. They beat a Cagliari team that I don't know for the life of me. But then losing at home to Venezia is the classic reason why I still think Empoli's in trouble. That this 9th place position flatters them, or this 10th place position flatters them, I should say. But we'll see. We'll see. You never know. Maybe they might get some things figured out, but I think that defensively they're still a liability. Sassuolo, good to see one of the players I touted getting on the score sheet, Fratesi.
Nice
goal. And he's been solid, as a replacement for Locatelli. I think the Sassuolo team is just overall taking a step back, and maybe some of that's had to do with not having De Zerbi there as manager and his leadership.
Yeah.
So, but and then looking at those couple of games on Friday, Sampdoria totally baffling to me with their tactics in the second half. They pulled it off. I think that it was I think they were at a stage where it's like, we just need 3 points, and we need to take them off this team who were kind of in a direct competition with for relegation. And then, Torino, we might. I'm liking Torino under Ivan Juric.
I don't like the 2 goals, but I do like the way they play offensively for sure.
Yeah, I don't like the way they finished the match. Definitely, I'm with you. But I'm liking what I'm seeing from there. Pobega's obviously been really good for them.
Yeah.
Brecalo was a very shrewd pickup for this season. VJ's asking, Empoli and Fiorentina surprises so far. Fiorentina, no, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I thought Fiorentina would be this good. Empoli, yes.
Yeah.
But I think at some point Empoli is going to get figured out. Fiorentina, I think they're here to stay. I think they're quality. I think that they're a top 7 team. I said so when I picked my predictions after the Mercato closed. So, he's using the same setup that he had at Hellas Verona, but you can argue that he's got better players at Torino.
Yeah.
Which is serving him well. I would probably take Brecalo and Sanabria over.
He's not even starting Belotti.
Right, and he's not even starting Belotti, exactly. So Pioli should give Pobega a chance next. He should have given him a chance this season.
Yeah.
So, but to be fair, Milan's midfield is so backlogged right now. I mean, with You've got Kessie, you've got Benacer, you've got how Tonali's been playing. You've got some pieces there. It's kind of hard. Where do you fit Pobega into all of that? You know, maybe things get screwy with Kessie's contract and they can't re-sign him. Then, yeah, Pobega's coming back.
Yeah.
You know, so that would be the fallback if they can't afford to keep Frank Kessie. I would think. I wouldn't think Maldini would be stupid enough to let that go. So we'll see about that. So, yeah, I mean, those 5 games, certainly thrilling, certainly entertaining. You had plenty of goals to call there, Richard. Moving on to my batch, these 3 games all happen on Sunday. If you decided to get up early this morning, you would have been treated to Atalanta against Udinese. How would Atalanta react to that ugly giveaway at Old Trafford against Manchester United after they were 2-0 up to be beaten 4-2? Some narrative for you. Juan Musso in goal against his former club, Udinese. We always love a good narrative. And statistically, it's what you would have expected. Atalanta possessed it 2/3 of the time, but they would not score until the 56th minute. A goal of the week candidate from Ruslan Malinovsky from distance with his left foot. How else does he score? That made it 1-0. Beto in the 94th minute gets the tying goal for Udinese and scratches out a point for the Friuli, making it a 1-0 win. Fiorentina and Cagliari. Fiorentina taking a 3-0 win here. Cristiano Baraghi penalty. Nico Gonzalez getting on the score sheet in the 42nd minute. Another player that we touted pretty highly here in our preview. And then 49th minute goal of the week candidate. Actually, my goal of the week, Dusan Vlahovic's free kick. Getting past Cranio to get the 3-0 win. The way this game went, it could have been more than 3, but Cagliari is just, and I don't get it. The talent is there.
Yeah.
They're just mind-blowingly bad. Speaking of mind-blowingly bad, Lazio traveling to Hellas Verona and getting boat raced 4-1. It was Giovanni Simeone 4, Lazio 1.
Giovanni Simeone, 4 goals.
Yeah,
what I'm thinking.
On his dad's old team. It just how's that conversation going to go?
Look. Before you get into any more of this, lots of people will probably get upset that we don't pick Lazio as title favorites, and this is a reason why. They have blips in their games where you're just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" This is the prime example of why we don't pick Lazio so high. But sorry, I just had to jump in there because
no, that's fair. I mean, the first goal was the second goal is the goal of the week candidate. The finish from distance was just a banger. But the first goal, I do want to highlight the pass from Gianluca Caprari, very nicely weighted. Churi Immobile would get one back, making it 2-1. Caprari playing in, Simone again in the 62nd minute. Simone again in the 92nd. I mean, Lazio, this is why we don't rate them.
And they play well. At times they play wonderful football. Look what they did against Inter. And then other times they leave you scratching your head. And this is example. Like, yes, we knew Hellas has turned it around under a new manager, but no way should anybody be losing 4-1. No good team should be losing 4-1 to Hellas, including letting Giovanni Simeone get a poker. A guy who's had like 4 goals. Oh, it seems like he scores a lot, but not often enough where he's 4 goals. You expect Immobile to score 4 goals, not Giovanni Simeone. But it looks like Lazio were just shell shocked, not prepared whatsoever about what Hellas is going to bring. It's interesting, and it adds fuel to the fire because before the game, Sadi was talking about how he doesn't see how Luis Alberto can play next to Sergei Milinkovic-Savic, which is stupid because we all know they both played together for years and they're one of the best defensive midfield duos in the league and in Europe. But that's questionable. You've seen also the drama gets ramped up even more because somebody tweeted out a comment negatively against Sarri and Luis Alberto liked it. So, it's a lot of stuff going on in the back scenes there. And then you add this game 4-1, just getting drubbed by Hellas. It's just not going well at the moment for Lazio. They need to turn it around quickly. I believe they can, but blips like this is unexcusable. And if you want to be a team that's a Champions League contender, you cannot have these as often as Lazio do.
No, you can't. You simply can't. It's boy, I'll tell you what. Wednesday's game is tasty. When Lazio and Fiorentina meet at the Olimpico, that is for only the 10th game into the season, that's a huge game for both teams. Fiorentina can use it as the opportunity to say, "Hey, we're here, and it's not Seven Sisters anymore. We're here to cause some problems, and we're going to cause them to Lazio." Lazio has got to say, "Hey, we're part of this thing. We're going to be we're going to be one of the European teams at the end of the season, and we've got to win this." That is 10 games into the season. That's already a European 6-pointer. And and some people might say, "Yeah, Frank, you're exaggerating. You're trying to overhype it and all that other stuff." I said, "I'm really not." I mean, the way Fiorentina is playing, this is what they're going for. And Lazio are going through some growing pains right now under Maurizio Sarri. This is a big, big deal for both of these clubs. This is going to be a huge game on Wednesday. And it would not surprise me to see Fiorentina go in there and win that game.
Not many of the Seven Sisters can be had by Fiorentina, but Lazio is one of those teams that can be had. And I think you really need to see the leadership step up. Immobile, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, and the rest of the team. I heard an interesting debate on Twitter, or read an interesting debate on Twitter, I should say. And it was, who is more important to Lazio? Ciro Immobile with all his goals, or Sergej Milinkovic-Savic with what he does, goals, assists, control that midfield? What are your thoughts? Because I think it's an interesting debate, because obviously Immobile scoring all the goals is vitally important. Who else is going to score for them? He's been the main goal scoring contributor. He's been the horse for them. But SMS, he takes up a lot of the pressure away from him in the midfield. He comes up big like he did against Inter. In the big games, he scores goals. He's good in the air. He's good in passing. He can score. He can do it all, almost. I mean, you can see why he was rated so high in terms of the value of his money a couple of seasons ago. But who do you think is more important for this team?
Wow, that's a great question. Whew. If you take Immobile out of that lineup,
yeah, I see where you're going.
Who do you trust to score the goals?
Yeah,
I think you're not going to replace Sergej Milinkovic-Savic either.
Correct.
But you can apply that. You can have a division of labor among the three midfielders in Sarri's system.
Yes.
A lot easier with him than you can with trying to find who's going to score the goals for you if you take Immobile out of that lineup.
I tend to agree with you. Yes, you need someone to be that maestro in the middle, but you still have Luis Alberto. Sarri can figure out a way in his system. He's a possession-based type manager. They can figure out a way, but you need someone to score the goals. And I think having someone of Immobile's quality, being able to put those away, pouncing like he does, he's a perennial poacher. You need someone like that, and they don't just grow on trees. And so if he's gone or he's unavailable, who's going to step up? You don't have Caicedo anymore. You don't have Correa. I mean, who are you going to rely on? Marici's not going to be the answer. We've seen it already. Yeah.
So as I said, I think that you can replace Milinkovic-Savic in the aggregate in your midfield. You can't replace all that goal production that Ciro Immobile can give you, not with the players that you currently have in house.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Sarri needs to get his head out of his ass if he thinks Luis Alberto and SMS can't play together.
We've got years of sample that show that they can't.
Yeah. I mean, come on. He just has a gripe against SMS or Luis Alberto because he came late to practice and now just wants to burn bridges with him. I mean, that's what it is. Anyone who thinks that those two can't play together is stupid. I'm sorry. And sorry, you're stupid.
Yep. You're saying sorry to sorry. I see what you did there. Did he even? Yeah, he came on. When Luis Alberto came on, he got 34 minutes. He created 3 chances, 5 crosses, shot on target.
He scored last week.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
It's a grudge. It's a grudge against him because he was late and he doesn't get the respect that Sarri thinks he deserves from Luis Alberto. That's what it is.
Something's not right. Yeah, that it has to be that. I mean, it has to be that to lead you to say something just so idiotic like that. When the rest of us who have been watching this league for years and been watching these guys play together, you know, they can play together in a 3-man midfield for Lazio. You have to get a better ball-winning back four protector than Lucas Leiva.
That's true. I agree.
You absolutely have to. I mean, he's shown his age.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. And he can't cover the ground like he used to. He's not in the form that he was when he played at, all those years when he was solid for Liverpool. I mean, you're asking a 34-year-old who's going to be 35 in January to cover all that ground, not really by himself, but that you have not addressed that position adequately enough.
Yeah.
We don't know if Danilo Cataldi can be a 90-minute guy because we don't get to see it. Gonzalo Escalante was brought in to play that role. But we don't get to see it. There's just this over-reliance on a guy that, is average at best at what he does. And that best we don't see very often. Yeah.
And look, we're not trying to disrespect the millions and millions of Hellas Verona's fans. I know we're talking a lot about Lazio here, but I'm
one of the only ones that said Hellas Verona is going to stay up.
They're good.
I told all of you, you're nuts. They have too much talent. They're going to come to their. I mean, I didn't predict that EDF would get sacked.
See, that's the thing. I thought it would take them a while to come to that senses with that.
Yeah, they were going to come to their senses at some point, and I said, and if they win under EDF, they're going to win despite him.
Yeah.
But there's too much talent in that Hellas Verona team to go down. There's 4 or 5 teams to me that are worse than them. Although I think I can't remember where I put them in. I'd have to go back and look. But I know I had them staying up. So.
Yeah. They're easily 15th and above. Easily.
Yeah.
It's a good team. It's a good bunch of players from back to front. So, they're not getting the love tonight, mostly because we're talking about Lazio. But I think Hellas, if Giovanni Simeone, finds a way to start scoring more and more goals, not just against Lazio, but everybody, if he can find a way to get double-digit, maybe even 15 goals, that might be manager of the year candidate right there if they can figure that out. But they got the talent, like you said, Anthony Barak and company. They can play some ball with a manager who has any kind of common sense. They're going to play well. Obviously, EDF has probably run his course as a manager in Serie A, but this Hellas team is going to be difficult for a lot of teams, including the Seven Sisters.
Well, only one defeat for Hellas Verona in their last 5 games. That was at Milan, and they had a 2-0 lead there.
Yeah, I was going to ask who was it against.
What's that?
I was going to ask who was it against again, but I know.
Yeah, the loss at Milan, they actually had a 2-0 lead, and they gave it away.
Yeah, but
they beat Roma in that run. They drew Salernitana. That's maybe a little bit concerning, but you beat Roma and Lazio. I mean that speaks to your credentials. Those are points that relegation strugglers are probably not going to get. So. So it's that sort of thing. Okay, Fiorentina were brilliant today and should have scored probably 6 or 7 goals today. But why do we keep having this conversation about Cagliari?
Because much like with Hellas when they had EDF, there's a bunch of talent that not performing. I'm losing my voice now. And it's mind-boggling to us who know Serie A and the talented players that Cagliari have, and they're not performing. It's just for whatever reason they can't get it through their heads to play together. And yes, Fiorentina is a good team, but they shouldn't be losing week in and week out 3-0.
Well, Godin wasn't available. Volukovic has been out. I mean, those are hits to their defense. Delbert,
sure.
As
well. Delbert had an injury last week, I think it was. It looked pretty bad.
So, I mean, that's one thing, but I mean, that's just for this game. I mean, what are the excuses for the other games?
Exactly.
And they're sitting in 19th. And
Pedro will get his goals, but who else? Who else is going to contribute?
Keita Balde's been okay.
Yeah, he has. He's been a good revelation for them. But
And when they need like an out-and-out striker, Pavoletti can give that for them.
yeah, that's like the only position they have that are playing well, I should say. Is, Keita Balde, João Pedro, and they have Pavoletti if they need him. But the rest of the team is not. The midfield is not holding up their slack. Defense is not obviously good enough. Cranio,
don't disrespect my boy Marin. He's still all right.
He's been quieter than last year.
Yeah, he has. I'll admit that. But when your team can't get the ball, he's not effective.
Fair enough.
He's best in environments where Cagliari can have some semblance of possession, where he can put his influence with his passing and then be involved in some of those set piece situations. So, it wasn't a good game for him against Fiorentina today, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's maybe they go to that island and it's beautiful and they get spoiled and they don't feel like playing football then. It's mind-blowing because we were literally talking about these guys a couple of years ago as being a possible, top 7, top 8.
And they were for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
They were European place in the winter time, and ever since then it's been all downhill, from Rolando Maran and now with the managers that they keep going through, it's not working out. And it's I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's crazy. I think that the current depends on how you look at the table. If you put Napoli, you're putting Napoli in first on goal difference, but
yeah.
I mean, the top 8 is almost exactly how I had it in my prediction, with the exception you flip-flop Napoli and Milan. So
yeah, you flip-flop Roma and Atalanta. I think that's my top 7.
Yeah.
Well, no, I had Milan first and Napoli third or fourth. So yeah, but yeah,
you can end the season now, and I'm looking pretty good.
I mean, 7-point lead for Milan and Napoli. That's a pretty good spot to be in with Inter and Roma and Juve and all those teams behind you. So a nice cushion for them. Can they keep it up? We'll see. But you like what you got to see from both those teams.
Long way to go, though. How in the hell is Bologna 9th? I think Bologna's 9th because everybody below them sucks. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. They should just play with a man or 2 men down every time because they play better that way.
They did. They were pretty spirited.
Yeah, they didn't fight. They didn't give up, I should say. But when they're even, sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't. They're very Jekyll and Hyde. But they had a lot of fight in this game against Milan despite the result.
Yep. Agreed. All right, let's get to some goals of the week.
All right. So let's see. Some of my honorable mentions: Zlatan, his curler, Melanovsky's bomb from distance, and Okereke. My top 5 though goes as this. I got a goalkeeper in my top 5. Number 5 actually. Montipo had a fantastic save on Patrick, a header.
He did.
That was wonderful there. So number 5 for me. Number 4, I'm going with Benacer's volley. Lovely strike. Number 3, the team goal by Bologna against Milan is Arnautovic to Soriano to Musabaro. Wonderful goal there. Number 2, Giovanni Simeone. He had a poker, but the second goal was just a wonderful thing of beauty. And then I actually have a tie for my goal of the week. Vlahovic, free kick, wonderfully taken. And then Verdi with a short-sided goal, top shelf there. Those are 2 beautiful goals there for me. So that's my top 5.
Okay. All right. Verdi is an honorable mention for me, but I'm going to go with Melanovsky at number 5, Okereke at number 4. Venezia, free this man and just play him. Play him. He is going to get you goals. Don't take him out. All right. He's better than. Is it a travesty that Thomas Henry wears the same number that Thierry Henry wore for?
Planned.
Like it's
Don't forget,
not even half the player Thierry ever was. It's just that's ballsy. That's all I'm going to say, pointing that out. I'll take the Benacer volley in at number 3, Simeone second at number 2, and Dusan Vlahovic free kick, my goal of the week. Winners and losers. Milan's a winner. Won at Bologna, and then got to sit on their couch on Sunday and watch everybody cannibalize each other and get back into tie for first with Napoli in the process, and watch Inter, Roma, and Juve drop points, and Atalanta all dropping points.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. My winners and losers is going to be in the same game. Winners of the week, it's Giovanni Simeone, a guy who's fairly been irrelevant this season. Gets a poker, gets back on the map. He's like third or something in the goal scoring charts now in the league, which is crazy. I mean, you look at the top 10, really. You got Immobile obviously leading. Dzeko's up there. Destro's in the top 5. João Pedro, Simeone as well, tied for 6 with Destro and João Pedro. I mean, unreal. So he's back relevant. So he's the winner for me. Loser, Lazio. Just unreal the way they lost this. I mean, if they lost 2-1, it's one thing. They lost 4-1, and they allowed Giovanni Simeone to score 4 of those goals, all 4. So, yeah, they need to do better, man. And Sarri needs to do better with his decision making in terms of SMS and Luis Alberto playing together.
Yep, I'm with you on the loser, Lazio, and in particular Maurizio Sarri. Just put Luis Alberto and SMS out there. My gosh, so don't know what he's seeing out there, but he is working his way dangerously into Ventura territory. In terms of managerial ineptitude, he's getting there. He's getting dangerously close. So. Yeah. All right. Some midweek games here, Richard. We talked about Lazio Fiorentina. That's probably the pick of them. As far as things are concerned, Tuesday you've got Spezia hosting Genoa. You've got Venezia hosting Salernitana, a relegation 6-pointer, 10 match weeks in. Milan hosting Torino. Teo Hernandez is back for that one. On the 27th, you got Juve against Sassuolo, Sampdoria, Atalanta, Udinese, Hellas Verona, Cagliari Roma, Empoli, Inter, Lazio, Fiorentina, and then on Thursday, Napoli playing host to Bologna. We obviously went over the Lazio Fiorentina game. That's a huge one. What else gets your attention here?
Obviously, I'm curious to see how Ivan Juric's team does against Milan. That'll be an interesting game. Should be lots of goals, I would imagine, but you never know. And I'm curious to see Sassuolo-Juventus. I think Sassuolo can get one on Juventus. There's enough attacking power to get Juventus. The question is, can they stop Juventus? That'll be the key for them. That'll be a good game, I think, though. And yeah, I think Napoli Bologna could be entertaining, but I expect Napoli to get a 3 points in that one.
Yeah.
Hellas and Udinese could be surprisingly good. Hellas has obviously been playing good, or well, I should say. Udinese, they have it in them. They're more stable now under the new manager. So that could be a surprisingly good game, at least tactical wise.
And that'll be match week 10. I'm with you on the Juve Sassuolo game, although I think that Juve are going to get a 2-0 win there. I think that Sassuolo is going to try to carve out a bunch of chances. I think it's going to be one of those games where Juve just kind of keep it all tight, keep it all in front of them, manage their way through it and get out of there with the win. I think the Milan-Torino game is going to be very exciting as well. I think that Torino is going to score a couple. I could be the highest scoring game of this midweek. Especially when you see how Milan have been running right now defensively without Maignan back there. They're going to get Teo Hernandez back, which should give them a little bit of a boost. Fode Ballo-Toure had moments where he just looked lost, particularly in the Champions League game. So having him back is going to be a big help.
Could be a trap game, though, with Roma on the horizon for Milan.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. Empoli-Inter, I think, is going to be halfway intriguing. Can Empoli keep this up? Are they willing to take this game at Inter?
Will Pinamonte score against his team?
Yeah, very. I ultimately expect Inter to go on and win that game, but I think that Empoli is going to make that interesting. So we'll see what happens there. So, and finally, we now go to the world's most popular hashtag game. Who won? Calcio Twitter. Pot's a little light this week, but you know what? Sometimes it's all about quality and not quantity.
That's right. And kicking things off is Nima. When he got a surprise message this weekend, I should say, on Instagram. Yes, that is the Wanda Icardi messaging him after something he must have posted. She wasn't too happy with Nima. If you want to know the details, I'll have to talk to Nima about that. But yeah, that's a big who on Calcio Twitter. Nima is being very well known around the world, apparently, at least in the Icardi circles.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. At Tony Malase 7, Maldini let the Champions League DNA leave on a free transfer. This was after.
That's good. That's good.
Zing.
That's good. And look, before we move on, people are giving Milan shit because they're fourth place, and it's probably deservedly so. But I think many Milanisti knew this was coming. They knew this team is third, maybe third, but definitely fourth place in this group. It's always going to be difficult with these youngsters. So we're not surprised that this result is happening, but definitely people are taking their shots. And, why not? Everybody, we give Inter shots and Juve shots. Milan deserve their shots as well. So very funny from Art Vandelay.
I mean, I would, 0 points, fine, but they've competed. All right.
Yeah.
And they've been within a goal of each of these teams. So, we all can't play Malmo and Sheriff. So,
or Bodo Glimt. Oh wait, never mind.
Bodo Glimt, yeah. So, or Spartak Moscow. I mean, it's it's just what it is. It was just the group of hell, and if they could have finished first or second, I think that would have been an incredible achievement. If they would have gotten third and gotten to the Europa League, and they still can. Excuse me. And I think most people would expect that, but, when you look at it, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, we knew it was going to be difficult, and, there's a very, very slim chance of them qualifying. They'd need to, first of all, take care of business and beat Porto here first, and they would need Atletico Madrid to collapse at some level as well. So
they'd have to be like Atalanta did a couple of years ago. They were dead last in the same position and came back and went all the way deep into the playoffs. So yeah, anything can happen, but I don't expect it.
I think it's too big a mountain to climb. So, but we shall see. We shall definitely see. All right.
Keeping on the theme, the big chic _ Azzurri says, AC Milan is back, fourth in the table in the Champions League, and they show a picture of Martino. Poor Martino.
The
wig. Yeah. With a Credelia wig. Yeah, it's funny. That's good.
Unbelievable. All right. So moving on. At Napoleonismo, he always seems to find his way on the nominee list. Serie owes Juve a lot. Their special DNA in Europe is the only reason why the league is not compared with the Dutch or Ligue 1.
Fair enough. All right. Moving on, Joe Fischetti put us onto this one, and it was Jerry Mancini says, I broke up Mauro and Wanda. Oh, Jerry. You homewrecker. The Photoshop ability.
Sure.
Better than mine. Right.
Napoleonismo back for another one. Fair play to Ronaldo. Left Juve in order to play the EL and not the CL final.
Zing. All right. Moving on to the at Real Dada. Mourinho trying to be sacked so he gets the Newcastle job.
All right. Presidente has brought in a nominee at Diane Jamil. This is in a response to Mourinho fan. We are an embarrassment to Italian football, but we still have never been relegated to Serie B for cheating. At Diane Jamil, a Juve fan. Current status, losing. I think he meant to say losing.
I think he did too.
6-1 to a Wi-Fi password team whose captain works as an electrician.
Ouch.
Yikes.
Ouch. All right, Rafa.
Dodo Glimt is who produced Jens Petter Hauge. Let's not get.
This is true. True. They're actually very good team in Norway. But yeah. All right, Rafa made us put our attention to this by Matteo Bonetti. So the original tweet was Benito Mussolini's great grandson Romano Mussolini has been called up to play Lazio's first team by Sarri. He's a right winger.
Yep. Let's see here. Oh, I gotta move on up. All right. Rete this way. What was written on that piece of paper given to Bonucci? And at JP Uccello said, I'm sure it said Inter Merda.
And actually, if you stick with this, there's a lot of funny responses in this. Milan Weekly Podcast says, don't worry, we're getting a penalty. Julian says, flopping anywhere near the box, VAR has been paid. Michael Daniello Monster says, you're merda. I love that one. Another one says, penalty is coming, no worries. Another one says, ask the ref for a penalty, VAR is ready. It goes on and on. I mean, all the responses are great in this one, so that's good.
At Sean MCKT, lads, we are good to go. The ref's check just cleared. At Mohamdi 100, the J logo of the referee with the whistle and the flag.
Yeah, I mean, that tweet might win it just because all the responses that it came with it.
Yep.
Let's see. Martino brought our attention to this one, and this was okay. So Martino tweeted out, "Clear penalty for Juve. If you think there's conspiracy with this, you got to come off the ledge." So Good Roulette says, "I want to think this is Allegri's note to Bonucci. Don't worry, baby girl, we get a penalty." That's good.
Oh,
That's
very
good.
nice. Very nice. That's got a chance.
Yeah. There's
All
one
right.
last
And then
one.
finally, our friend Nima Tavalli, just to show that he's a good sport after this Derby d'Italia. The only title Juventus has won in Italy without refereeing, quote unquote, help that we know of, I might add, him winning the Serie B trophy in 2007 to get back up to Serie A.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Milan and Juve, the brunt of the jokes this week, for sure.
Yep, that's for sure, and rightfully so. I mean, I don't think people had enough time to get the Lazio jokes in, but
yeah.
Oh my, we gotta pick a winner out of this, don't we?
Yeah. Whew.
Let's see. I think it's going to be one of these responses to the piece of paper to Bonucci. Actually, you know what? I am going with. Yeah, I'm going with at AC Milanista 0, AC Milanista O.
AC Milanese. Oh, where is that?
Don't worry, baby girl. We're getting a penalty.
Oh, yeah. One of the last ones. Yeah.
Yep.
That's fair. I'll go with that.
Okay, I think that's our winner.
Yeah.
So, congrats.
Oh my goodness.
They keep getting better and better, these Who Won Calcio Twitter entries.
Yeah. There weren't many this week, but they were good. And I think that one from Rete this way, their post, all the responses was just fantastic. Go check out that thread. Funny responses in that one. So, oh yes, another week in the books.
Hang on. Yes, it is. Yes, there is. AC Milanista, is it O?
O or 0?
Good roulette. Well, it's Kuhauga at Kuhauga ACM.
There you go. Easier. All right, that's the winner this week. Lots of games in the midweek. What's up?
We should make it. Send your videos to at Serie Sitdown for fan reaction. Richard, you're going to probably be going through those and putting some up.
Yeah. We as Frank mentioned, every week now we're going to all the big games. We're getting the best reactions, or getting reactions from the fans for their respective teams. Whether it's this week would be Roma, Napoli, Juve, Inter. But if you want to send a video, I mean, even in the midweek in the Champions League, we had from oh man, name is escaping me right now, but Ryan Malik or whatever. Just send us your reaction to your team's win or losses. We want to post them on YouTube and on Twitter and everywhere else. It's just we love to get the fans involved. We are fans ourselves, and so the more fan reactions we can get of different teams, the better. So if you want to share a reaction video with your phone or whatever, DM us on Serie Sitdown or either freaking message Frank or myself, and we'll get you involved. So it's something that's picking up pace here, and with all the games going on, love to see reactions from the fans, not just ours, but everybody else's.
Yeah, and by all means, I mean, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to support one of the Seven Sisters. If you support Fiorentina and you want to give reaction to the game against Cagliari today, we'd love to get your video. If you're an Udinese supporter, if you're a Empoli supporter, I know you're all out there. You're all listening to us. Don't be afraid. Shoot a quick video of yourself and give your reaction to your game and what you saw and what you think. And if we like what we're seeing, we'll put it on our page. So
yeah, we want to show the fan reactions, and we want to also, give love to other content creators out there, big and small. We're a Calcio community. We're trying to bring it together. So this is, I think, a fantastic way to do it. So
while others aren't trying to bring it together, while others are trying to distance themselves and big time everybody else, we're trying to keep it together. So that's what we're about. So that said, if you're wondering if you're watching us on the broadcast and you're wondering where we got these lovely #Calcio to go shirts, check out the sponsor that is listed here in the screen, teespring.com. You've also seen my Tumblr in the past. I was too lazy to wash it today. But that also has the Serie A Sitdown logo. If you want to get some Serie A Sitdown swag, go head over there. Get your Calcio to go t-shirts, get your Caicedo Greater Than Immobile t-shirt. We've got a few others out there, so check them out. And with that, we're putting a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down. Shameless plug time, Richard.
Yeah, as always, you can follow me anywhere at R_KHARMAN. And then again, thanks to all those who contributed with their reactions this weekend. You will see the videos coming out here in the next day or two. So thank you all, and we'll list all those people who share them so you can follow them as well.
Yep, you can follow me. At FTC_21. You're doing the old switcheroo on me with the handle.
Keeping you honest.
I see that. So, Serie A Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. We can be found on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there is podcasts. There is Serie A Sit Down. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter or Instagram. You want to send those fan videos? You can send them there via direct message. Also, we're available on Facebook for any questions, or if you want to have any comments, feedback on what you're listening to, we would greatly appreciate it. Those in the chat, thank you for joining us today. Join us again. Are we going to do this on Halloween next Sunday night?
I'm too old to be trick-or-treating. Well, that's a good question. We have kids, though, don't we? We'll see.
Yeah, we do.
We'll plan on it, but we may change.
Yeah. We'll keep you posted as to when we go on the air next week. We've got to think about the children. I am not wearing a costume.
I was going to ask.
No, absolutely not. So
you can get your Juventini gear on, huh? I wear my Inter gear. No,
I have like some mid-90s Juventus stuff. So, little phase I went through, but I also thought Zidane was a joy to watch back then. So when he played for those Juventus teams. But anyway, so that's it. Thanks again, as always, for giving us your respect and listening to us. For Richard, I'm Frank. As always, make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.